Let's get into today's show. And the first thing we're going to be talking about is the ADA policies and service animal policies when it comes to both Uber and Lyft. And they are a little bit different, but the big thing is you definitely want to make sure you are within guidelines, because if you aren't, it could be
Please.
grounds for immediate deactivation.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you are not going to get anything else beyond that. So you want to make sure you are compliant. So we are going to look at both Uber and Lyft. They are a little bit different. So if you want to put any comments in the comments or the live chat, by all means, go ahead and do that. So let's get right into it. So this is
Lyft.
Yeah, this is Lyft's version. Always say yes.
Yeah, always accept every chip and always say yes.
According to Lyft support, and then this transporting riders with service animals. So first off, when it comes to service animals, there are a clear distinction between a service animal and a non-service animal or support dog, or I just want to carry my dog around. There is a distinction. You would be able to know that. But the problem is a lot of these passengers are assholes and they think that their prized little chihuahua is a service animal when in fact it never had any type of training, and it'll probably piss and shit all over your car. So unfortunately, there is that real possibility there. But the thing is, when it comes to it, Lyft says this: when it comes to transporting riders with service animals, drivers on the Lyft platform should remember one thing: always say yes. And it's bold for those who are listening. You're required by the law and Lyft's policy to always accommodate service animals, even if you have an allergy, religious, or cultural objection or fear of them. If you refuse a rider with a service animal, you could face immediate and permanent deactivation. Once a passenger reports a denial after the driver's arrival, which doesn't make any sense, because it could be in a text or something, but if it was before they even got there, how are they going to know that you had a service animal? Besides the thing, but the account is going to be temporarily suspended pending an investigation into the alleged violation, and that is mostly to see what kind of text conversation happened between you, saying, "Oh, I'm not canceling that ride because you have a dog," or something like that. So just be careful when it comes to service animals on the platform there.
So this is from my app. I got the text first, and then I got the email. Both companies, I think, during this time of the year, they do it, I guess, once a year or every 6 months, whatever it is. The language is a little, scary on that one. Now, you guys must understand, these companies are not doing this willy-nilly, okay? The ADA guidelines are federal law, so they must abide by the law. However, to me, I have absolutely no problem folding wheelchairs, walkers. I've done it 1,000 times. I don't mind helping people. I don't mind helping people with service dogs, a seeing eye dog, let's say, whatever. And those animals are trained, and they usually are wearing the correct, clothing or whatever it is that they wear, right? And they're trained to sit right in the wheel well, but to Lyft and Uber, I've had one too many chihuahuas in my car walking in as a service dog and barking the whole damn trip, okay? Now, we know passengers try to get a quick one, right? Look, this is federal law. We cannot skirt it. Whatever the app says, you have to do, right? Now, the only thing that I just, on that last paragraph, the screenshot before, Chris, it says, even if you have religious, or cultural objections, fear of them, imagine a pit bull walks, an untrained, non-service animal pit bull gets in your car and starts barking and doing this. First of all, it's dangerous, right? I mean, I'm driving, okay? And you could easily tell, by the way, between a service dog, when we say service animal, mostly they're going to be dogs, or a non-trained service animal, okay? One is going to stomp all over your backseat, leave hair and shit and piss, most likely. And the other one is just going to quietly sit because they're trained already, right? So the problem is there's two different, laws you got to look at. ADA is a federal law. Basically, these rideshare companies are just passing the law on to you. The laws in Canada, let's say, are completely different when it comes to Disabilities Act. And at the same time, I do understand the driver's dilemma. Like, a driver asked me this question. He goes, I am so allergic. I'm afraid that if I get an hyperflactic shock from the allergies and go hit a pole and kill everybody, why should I accept this on me, right? Well, it's the law. ADA takes precedence, and these companies just passing it on to you. However, Uber is doing something decent when it comes to that, is that they have Uber Pet. And that you can opt in or opt out. By the way, on Lyft, you cannot opt in or opt out anything, and they don't have an Uber Pets or a service like Uber Pet, right? So, you see a dog, you cancel, honestly, and the and the passenger complains, I'm pretty sure before you turn around the block, you're going to get deactivated. And getting back on is going to be really, really difficult because honestly, I don't know of anybody who got deactivated for rejecting a dog or a service animal and they got back online. So you guys got to bite the bullet on this one and do it. Even if you have a doctor's report saying that you have allergies, no go. You got to accept it and you have to move on. The only thing is that what I did after I spoke to you and I couldn't send you these screenshots, Uber's is the same, obviously. They're going with the ADA guidelines. And I found this Twitter thread, actually, which we're going to show you guys in a minute. Uber's language is pretty much the same, but it's a little softer. Lyft was really harsh. You go like, say yes or you deactivate it. I'm like, okay, yes, sir. But Uber's is a little softer. But again, it's federal law. You have to abide by it. And you have to put that animal in your car and hope that it's a trained animal,
Yeah. Well, the one thing too, the screenshot that's on here right now is on accommodating a service animal. This is the big thing right here. It says service animals are well trained to ride in cars, and they are, absolutely are. They're pretty much going to sit on the floor or the seat. It's just going to depend on where the passenger is going to put them. But most of the time, they know exactly where to go. They sit down, they lay down. They might lift their head up a little bit to see what's going on. But other than that, they're not going to be like walking all over the car, looking around, standing outside, barking all over the place. That's not a trained service animal. But one of the things it says, don't put the animal in the trunk. No, don't do that. If you have a car, I mean, if you have an SUV or something, having them sit in the trunk is one thing because it's open to the car, but not beyond that. And then, one of the other things they say, carry a towel or blanket in the car and place them on the seat. That's just good practice there. To have some sort of towel or blanket or something just in case something like this does happen. But yeah, then moving on, let's talk about Uber's policy here.
Yeah, I mean, Uber's is a little softer language, but again, it is what it is. We don't want to read this whole thing. This was all in your apps and by email. All Uber drivers and Lyft drivers received this. If I received it, you all received it. And since it's federal, I'm assuming anybody in any state and city received this. Okay. So, second paragraph is softer. It says, as some people with disabilities travel with a service animal, you should be prepared for these riders. I agree. Please note that riders with service animals do not need to request an Uber Pet trip. That's correct as well. But if they did, they will have to pay like a few extra bucks. And I think it's less hassle for them and for the driver. If the driver is really deadly allergic to a dog or a cat, I mean, they have to accept it. There's nothing you can do about it. And they're legally allowed to bring their service animal on any type of Uber trip. So I get it. And you have to say yes. And I get that too. And the risk of deactivation is extremely high if the passenger, not extremely high, it's probably 100%, that they will deactivate you. If you show up and look at the dog, look at the owner, and click cancel and move on, and that owner complains, even if that dog or a cat or whatever animal it is not a service animal, they will deactivate you on the spot. There's no questions asked on this one. And on the right side, it says tips when serving, people with disabilities. I agree with it 100%. Ask riders how you can help, fold their wheelchair, fold their walkers. And as we know, we talked about it last week, right, Chris, about the Uber Health, right?
Yep.
If you go to a doctor's office or a hospital, you're going to pick up an elderly person who's not as strong as you are. You should definitely get out of your car and then fold the wheelchair, put it in your seat, in your trunk, whatever they ask you to do, oblige. I mean, look, you're helping people ultimately. I mean, it's not rocket science. So But the service animal issue is something you guys cannot skirt. Please be careful. They will deactivate you. And now what I found though, Chris, is this. So I dug into the Uber website and I found these two things that Lyft did not mention. So under section 2 on the Uber website, I'm going to read this because I screenshotted it on my phone. So if you guys want to write this down, people, please do. There are 2 questions you can ask before you have the passenger with a dog or a cat or whatever it is, so-called service animal, come in your car. These are your rights to ask, okay? Is this animal needed because of a disability? That's question 1. So I'm going to repeat it again. I'm reading this from the Uber website, okay? I'm not making this up. This is straight from their website. You're allowed to legally ask these questions. Is this animal needed because of a disability? The second question is, for which tasks were your service dog trained? These 2 questions you could ask under the law, under ADA guidelines, before you put them in your car. Now, if it seems like the owner is flustered, they cannot come back to you with a strategy, because an owner of a dog that's trained will be able to immediately come up with these answers. Someone with a barking dog that cannot wait to bite your head off obviously will not be able to. So again, I'm reading these questions. You want to take a note, do it. Is this animal needed because of a disability? And for which tasks were your service dog trained? These 2 questions you have a legal right to ask, and you will not get deactivated. And what also helps is obviously a dash cam in this situation, right, Chris?
And
you have a
with
dog
audio
jumping up and
recording
down in the back seat, right? And you kick him out and you get deactivated. I go, here, look what's happening here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, just make sure the audio is recording on that dash camera too.
You bet you. Yeah. So those are the 2 questions you guys can legally ask without any harm to you or to your account. So there you go. So this is what I caught the other day on Twitter, and it was like a much longer thread, but I just cut and pasted and show you guys this. So a gentleman named Steven, he says, here I'm being denied Uber and Uber ride in New York, New Jersey yesterday with a service dog. Look at that dog. That dog knows what the heck is going on, right? It's got the right collar, whatever it is. And you know, this was like a back and forth saying, you know, making the drivers look like a-holes because this guy, whatever SUV he has over there, he's about to, you know, click cancel and show this gentleman with a service dog his tailpipes, which is not cool. It shouldn't be happening. And, you know, later on at the end, and the funny part of the show, we're going to talk about, you know, what's happening with this, you know, 10 minutes of fame of these people. But this lady says that's inexcusable. I agree. Right. And Steven and this lady keeps going back and forth. You know, she says Uber used to drive Uber and Lyft all the time with my walker, and drivers were awful. I'm really sorry. Right. So, I mean, have a heart. Okay. I know I always say decline garbage, know your worth, but these people need your help. And should they be in a different, you know, car or whatever? But I think you guys need to do, you know, take one for the team here and then put these people in your cars, and hopefully it's a trained dog and you're not going to have issues with it. And to me, this shouldn't be happening. I agree with these rideshare companies that they're passing the law on to us, but ultimately it's the law. So that's all I can say about this subject.
Yeah. And then also, you know, if you're worried about your car, which you should be, you know, something like this right here that you see, it's basically like a dog hammock, and this actually goes in between the seats. And one of the nice thing is they're comfortable, they're waterproof. So if a dog gets in, has muddy paws or anything because it's raining or snowing outside, salt, if you're in certain areas, or sand in those other areas where it's winter and they're dealing with the roads, or if it's just, you know, something happens, anything like that. There you go. Something like this is going to be really good. And the best part is you can actually fold part of it down so you can have passengers in there. So, you know, if you're taking late night passengers who are drunk and, you know, they're either pissing or vomiting or something in the car, maybe they have water in the car and spill something. This is waterproof. So not just for dogs, but for people too. So something like this could potentially be something. There are plenty of them all over Amazon. This is actually something I'm about to get to as well for my dog, just because she is a little bit more crazy in the car in terms of like just anxious and stuff. She doesn't act crazy or anything like that. But either way, if you have something where you can get something like this, this also couples as a seat cushion or a seat cover on top of what you may have. And it's just going to look a little bit nicer and still feel a little bit nicer too. So this is definitely something I recommend. And then, you know, who knows, maybe I'll share my thoughts and overall view of that in a product review or something once I get mine. So yeah, definitely check these out when it comes to these seat covers or dog hammocks or anything. And then, yeah, you can see that little zipper there, which will actually unfold. And then that way, yeah, you can have people that are sitting in there too as well.
This will also work for drunk passengers. You just lay them down.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. You could do something like that, and it's going to be so much easier. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way to do it, you know.
Lay down, buddy. Lay down.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.